Good morning, students. Today in Pedagogy of Biological and Physical Sciences, we are going to discuss about three subunits. They are 9.71 Planning and Organizing Activities in Physical and Biological Science. Then 9.8 is Planning Laboratory Work, State Commitments in Organizing Experiments, Textbook Orientation. Then 9.9 is Planning ICT Applications. So these all are small subtopics. So today we are going to discuss, and we will start with 9.7, that is Planning and Organization Activities in Physical and Biological Science. So teaching learning of science is a process, and its three essential components are to acquire knowledge, to understand the concepts or principles, and to apply those in novel situations in order to solve a problem. Okay, so we have discussed in the nature of science in the earlier classes. So what is the nature of science? Science is a process, means it is a continuous process. It occurs in a cycle form. Okay, it never stops, and there is no end in a science studying or science learning. So in science process there are three essential components. What are they? Acquiring knowledge, to understand the concepts, okay, then concepts or principles, then apply in the novel situation. So first we acquire the knowledge, then we understand the concepts, then we apply in a various situations in order to understand the concepts. So these are three essential components of science process. So as learning by doing is a cardinal principle, so to acquire these process we have to perform the skills through learning. Okay, through learning, through doing only we have to learn the concepts. So that is the main principle of science learning, is learning by doing. Okay, so whatever concepts you are acquiring, that should be through doing. Okay, means you should not just acquire the concept passively. You must involve in the hands-on activities, or by performing the skills and experiments you have to learn. That is learning by doing. So this is a cardinal principle of science teaching learning, should be interwoven by activities to facilitate understanding. So therefore planning an activity is the core of the planning, teaching, learning experiences of physical and biological sciences. So okay, so whenever you are planning the teaching learning activity of physical and biological science, you must take into consideration of learning by doing. So in that way only you have to facilitate your teaching learning process, and you have to plan for such kind of activities. And for example, it is quite difficult to explain Archimedes principle only by theoretical description. Okay, so if you want to explain Archimedes principle through theoretical, okay, so what happen, a student's mind may not readily accept the result. Okay, so if this principle is explained by doing an actual experiment to show that when an object is partially or wholly immersed in water, there is an apparent loss is equal to the weight of displaced liquid. So it will leave a permanent impression on the mind of the learners. Okay, so here if you teach the Archimedes principle only in a theoretical way, or only you are teaching the principle, okay, in a theoretical manner, the students' mind may not be accept the principle, or what is the basic foundation of that principle. So here if you teach them practically by immersing an object into the liquid or water, so the apparent loss of is equal to the weight of the displaced liquid. So by observing this phenomena in the practical situation, the student can understand. So here by this what we can understand, the science is the process of learning by doing. You cannot just simply listen the facts or concepts of science, whatever explained in the books or in anywhere. Okay, so here in science whatever you are learning, that should be learnt by learning by doing only. So that is the only way to understand the concepts of science, and teacher must emphasize this learning and doing by providing various opportunities to the students in his teaching learning activities. Next, different activities need to be planned differently. Okay, so there are so many activities. I told you each and every concept is different. They are not only depend on experiment. Okay, so some needs field investigation, some needs project work, some needs discussion. So like that different activities need to be planned differently. It may find cumbersome in the beginning. What is the meaning of cumbersome? Cumbersome is nothing but difficulty in carrying that activity or process is called cumbersome. So it may find cumbersome in the beginning, but do this exercise for a few activities before enter the classroom to interact with the students. So if you continuously do these activities, what happen, it is easy for the teacher as well as the student. So you must take these activities to the classroom, and gradually with experience it may need to elaborate on only a few steps of this exercise. Okay, so what happened after some days of experiments and activities, there is not much need to explain the concept or steps to perform the activity to the students, because they are aware of all these things. So no need to explain all those things, just explain the aims and objectives of the activity and experiment, then rest of the things will be done by the students. So one thing is very important here. It need to visualize mentally all the steps in the planning stage of teaching learning process. After number of years of experience with the students, this visualization would take only a few minutes. So here at the starting stage of planning the activities, the teacher must visualize the mentally all the steps, means what are the steps are there in this activity, how this has to be conducted, okay, what are the precautions has to be taken, what are the feedback, explanation should be given to the students, everything should be planned by the teacher. After certain years of working with the students, the teacher gain mastery over these activities, and then the visualizations would take only few minutes to the teacher. So if the activities are well planned in advance, it leads to discussion instantly and get an idea about next step in investigation. Okay, so if you are well planned, so it gives further activities. Okay, it gives information of further steps and further activity, what you have to find out and what you have to do. Okay, it increases your creativity and logical thinking also. So it generates thinking with reasoning. If performance of activity, it generates thinking with reasoning. If performance of activity is supported by well designed questions, students arrive at conclusion themselves. Okay, so if you plan the activities with well developed questions, well designed questions, because questions develop the thought process among the students. Okay, like what activity we are doing, in what way we are going, what findings we have to find in this activity. So that shows the direction towards the conclusion. Next, self-reflecting questions. See, there are some questions which reflect upon themselves for teacher regarding facilitating learning of students. So what type of activity should be provided for laboratory or for classroom activity? So there are some questions the teacher must put for himself in order to reflect regarding the facilitation of learning of students. See, could I carry out the activity as per my plan? Okay, teacher has to ask himself or herself, could I carry out the activity as per my plan? Did I face any problem in carrying out the activity? Could I handle all the queries of my students? Next time when I will carry out the same activity, do I need to modify the activity? What modification or change will I make in the activity? Did I feel the need of changing the planning part of the activity? What change will I incorporate in planning of activity next time? Could I engage all the students of the class in inquiry? Could I sustain the interest of the class throughout the activity? Did the task that I gave to my students show a sense of achievement in them? Did they enjoy learning? Did the activity lead the class towards another concept or problem to be solved? Did I provide enough opportunity to all students to express their ideas? These all questions should be posed by the teacher for herself or himself in order to conduct the activities in a systematic and proper or a deliberate manner. Okay, so these questions, if they ask questions for themselves, they can plan accordingly and they can also try to achieve answers for these questions also. So questions are very important for teachers to reflect themselves to facilitate the learning. Next, so this is about the 9.7, whatever we have discussed till now. This is nothing but planning and organizing activities in physical and biological sciences. So how to plan activities? So here we are giving importance to learning by doing. Okay, so each and every concept you have to teach the student through learning by doing only, because this is the cardinal principle of science teaching. Okay, then you have to plan different activities according to its needs. Okay, then these are the some questions which the teacher has to reflect upon so that he can arrange the activities systematically. Then we are moving into the next subunit, that is 9.8, planning laboratory work, state commitments in organizing experiments, textbook orientation. Okay, so planning laboratory work, how do you plan the laboratory work here, and what is the state commitments in organizing experiments, and what is textbook orientation, we will discuss here. So proper planning of laboratory work is required in order to provide opportunities to all students to manipulate equipment and materials, interact and work collaboratively with peers in an environment where they feel free to investigate and find solutions to their inquired problems. Okay, so if you provide proper planning of laboratory work, okay, so it provides opportunities to the students, like they can handle the apparatus in the laboratory, they can manipulate the things, they can arrange the things, okay, or materials, okay, and they can interact collaboratively with the peer group members, teachers, and they investigate the things what they are intended to. So this is, if you plan proper systematic or arrange systematic lab manual or lab activities, then the students can investigate the things accordingly. See, sufficient equipment and apparatus should be set up where a group of 2-3 students can work together. Okay, so if sufficient number of apparatus required for one experiment or actively is not available in the laboratory, different experimental setup for different groups of students may be planned. So how do you plan for your activity or lab experiment? So if there are sufficient apparatus are there for each and every student, so provide each and every student individual apparatus. If there is no sufficient apparatus, what you do, you form a 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 group number of students in as a group, then you assign one apparatus to each group. So like that, this should be planned accordingly before only, otherwise it create mess if you do these all things at the time during the experiment, and it may not lead towards the conclusion. So laboratory equipment and experimental setup should be tried out for their functionality before the start of laboratory period. So before going to start the experiment, the teacher must check the apparatus whether it is functioning properly or not, and students should be involved in setting and checking up equipment and apparatus. Okay, involve them also for setting and checking, because they also know this how to operate the apparatus and how to arrange the things for experiment ready to use. And pre-laboratory discussion with students become necessary in some instances. Okay, before going to the laboratory, give instructions and details to the students, what they are going to do, how they are going to do, what they are going to find out, okay, how it is helpful for their studies. So pre-laboratory session is required for making students aware of the safety measures to be taken in the laboratory. They should be encouraged to identify their own problems and select their own procedure for laboratory activities. Pre-laboratory discussion can be very helpful for this purpose. So before only you have to give all the instructions how you have to maintain the code of conduct in the laboratory. Okay, your rules and regulations and manners, everything should be, and do's and don'ts, the chart of do's and don'ts should be given individual to the students, and it should be also pasted in the laboratory also. Then wherever appropriate, laboratory activities can be designed using familiar objects, tools and household items, as such objects provide a context that students find interesting. So if you use simple things, okay, like for example I told you in the previous class, improvised apparatus means the apparatus which we construct by using the simple things which are easily available in our surroundings, in our home. Maybe they are waste material for us, after using something, they may be useful for preparing and constructing this experimental apparatus. Okay, so if you use such kind of things, simple items, tools and objects and household items, the students find interesting because they know all those things. They might have observed those objects in their home, and they think that it will, so that will be useful in this way. They can use those waste materials in a productive way. So students can relate applications of scientific concepts and principles in their everyday life by using everyday material. So if you use that material, by using those material, they can investigate the scientific concepts. You can relate these things, all things, with their daily life, and can more inclined to acquire inquiry skills. So they will develop more interest in these things because now they understood that by easily available, cheap and raw material, we can make apparatus and make the scientific investigations. So they will develop interest in inquiry skills. As laboratory work is integral part of teaching learning of science, laboratory activities should be interwoven with the teaching learning of the theoretical aspects of physical and biological science. So you should not treat lab activity separately and theory class separately. You should interwoven both the things. Sometimes during the class only you have to take them to the laboratory, or sometimes bring, if the apparatus is feasible to carry to the class, or if the small objects you can carry from the lab to class, you can bring to that. So that you have to integrate both lab and laboratory and classroom in the science biology, teaching of biology and physical science concepts. Laboratory work includes activities, experiments, demonstrations by students and teachers, and project work. This all comes under laboratory work. And a topic should be scanned beforehand to plan what kind of laboratory work can be carried out for its transaction. So whatever topic you are taking to transact today in the class, that should be scanned before. Okay, means scanning means you have to read, study and understand about the concept, how it has to be teach well. Okay, what type of activity I have to do in this, that all should be beforehand you have to decide. Students should be involved in the work of identifying, selecting and arranging for the materials required for the performing various kinds of laboratory work. You have to involve the students. See, every time teacher in laboratory make the students to sit and he provide all the things in front of them, apparatus, glassware, solutions, everything he provide them. Okay, in without involvement of the students. You don't do like that. Okay, involve the students. Okay, ask them to go there. Okay, show the resources where they will get that particular item or object. Make them to responsible for their own learning, so that they can go, they bring the things, they manipulate, they arrange, they set. Okay, so in this way, this is all things contribute towards the learning. Okay, so don't spoon feed the students everything, by bringing everything in front of them. Ask them to do each and everything, watch the things. Okay, clear their desk or their area. Okay, go and search where that particular object or things are there. Just you be a vigilant person in the laboratory and see how they are manipulating, how they are arranging, how they are maintaining, how they are doing the experiments and things. Just keep an eye on them and ask them to do everything. Okay, so this, like this, they learn all the things starting from the apparatus, arrangement of apparatus, arranging, selecting, manipulating. Okay, everything they do by themselves. Then question and interest of students should be also kept in the mind in designing teaching learning experiences in the laboratory. Okay, questions, you should keep these questions in the mind, like what they want to learn, how they will learn, what are they interested in these things or not. Everything you have to consider from students' point of view whenever you are planning for laboratory activity. And involving students in the planning of laboratory work encourage them to be more responsible for their work and conduct in the laboratory and learning physical and biological science. Okay, so make them responsible, as I told you. Okay, make them responsible for all the things, for setting apparatus, for arranging, for selecting, for finding, everything. Make them to do all those things. You just keep an eye on them, how they are doing, whether they are performing properly or not. If they need any assistance, then guide them and facilitate them. Otherwise, let them them do all the things so that they can involve and learn all the things. Next, state commitments in organizing laboratory work. So see, what are a teacher can have these commitments in organizing laboratory work. Whenever a teacher is organizing a laboratory work, they must have these commitments. What are these? See, how will I facilitate them to perform the experiment? Are materials or apparatus available in the laboratory? How will I involve learners in setting up the experiments? Have I performed the experiment myself to check the functionality of all apparatus? Is the procedure simple and can be performed within the allotted time period? How will applications of their findings enhance their learning? How will I integrate the laboratory experiments with classroom teaching learning experiences? See, these all are the commitments. If the teacher question these all questions for himself, it means he also arranges those things. Okay, if these questions come in your mind before the arrangement of laboratory, okay, it means you provide these all facilities in order to make your laboratory work successful. So whenever you are arranging some or planning for some laboratory work, you should cross question yourself whether I am doing all these things or not. Next, textbook orientation. So here, what is the meaning of textbook orientation? See, where do we get theoretical information for doing practicals and experiments? From the textbook. See, any practical we are doing, okay, like for before that we refer the lab manual. It is in the textbook, okay, it is in the maybe a separately printed lab manual. So textbook orientation is nothing but a practical form of the theoretical concept. Okay, textbook orientation is nothing but a practical form of theoretical concept of the textbook discussed in the classroom. So we will first see the theory of the experiment. What we are going to do, what we are going to find, what is the purpose of the experiment, aim of the experiment, objectives, the necessary things we need, okay, the procedure we have to follow, everything we refer in the textbooks and lab manual. So that is only here textbook orientation should be integrated with the laboratory work. So the learning experiences in the laboratory should provide some challenge to the students to learn. See, they get interested if they understand the purpose of the experiment. Okay, so why we are conducting experiment, so that if they know the reason, they will get interest and are made to realize the application of it to their everyday life. So they also understand how it is useful in their daily life. By learning this concept practically, how it will help us to solve our daily life problems or to make our life more easier and simpler, that they apply this concept in their daily life. And students can be involved in planning and organizing various works of laboratory. Okay, so because you make them responsible for each and everything, so they start involving in the planning and organization of various works of laboratory, and following guidelines for planning and organizing experiments in physical and biological science may considered. Or see, the following guidelines you have to consider whenever you are conducting experiments, physical and biological science laboratory. It should be ensured that students have a sound theoretical knowledge. Okay, so before going to conduct the experiment, you must have theoretical knowledge. That is from textbook orientation, means what experiment we are going to conduct, in that what we are finding, what is the purpose, procedure and aims of experiment, everything theoretically they have to learn and come prepare. And knowledge of required for handling the apparatus and performing the experimental work. For this, theory and practical teaching learning situation should be properly integrated and coordinated. So here they should be integrated both theory and practice. First theory should be explained regarding the experiment, then they go for the practical. Then students should come prepared for the laboratory work. They should be encouraged to refer laboratory manual and other supplementary materials, okay, like from other sources like internet and any other journal or article they can refer for more information of that particular experiment. They should be facilitated to find answers to their own questions. Then enough apparatus should be set up to provide opportunity to all learners on hands-on activities. So enough apparatus should be set up so that everyone can, so only very less apparatus, so very less students get opportunity to perform the experiment. So if there are enough apparatus are there, so everyone can perform the experiment and everyone can involve and they can learn easily. It should be checked that apparatus are proper working condition, and during the laboratory work extensive and critical discussion on the theoretical aspects of the experiments with the students and continuous assessment of their performance are of utmost importance. So during the experiment the teacher should discuss with them about theory, okay, what we are going to conduct today, okay, what we are doing in this, okay, how what you are finding, so what are your ingredients you are adding in this, everything you have to discuss with the students, and you have to assess like whether they are understanding or not, whether they are performing properly or not. You have to assess frequently during the session, and this helps the teacher to know their misconceptions and naive concepts, and she can then facilitate them in the construction and reconstruction of their knowledge. So if the student have any misconception about the concept during the experiment, the teacher can know through the assessment process, and she can construct and reconstruct. If they don't know anything, she will construct. If they know the if they have misconception, she reconstructs the topic by giving the right information. A notice board to display safety rules of the laboratory, timetable, list of experiments, group patterns, etc. can be maintained and kept up to date. These all things should be made ready in the laboratory. Good discipline is necessary for smooth functioning of the laboratory work. So discipline is the very important. This is the priority. This is in priority list of lab rules and code of conduct. And maintaining all possible standards of safety in the laboratory and inculcating safety conscious attitude in students are important. So safety is very important. There may be very hazardous things will be there in the laboratory, so safety should be given utmost important. And safety kits such as fire extinguishers, sand buckets, rubber gloves, separate dustbins for dry and wet waste materials, etc. should be kept handy. Okay, so it should be easily available to the students. You should make such necessary things ready in the laboratory. And first aid box must be kept ready, and timely replenishment of medicines must be ensured. Okay, you should check the first aid box whether it is having all the things or not, and timely you should check because medicines also get expired, so you should timely change those things. And remember that safety of the students and teachers is more important than the safety of the apparatus. So that is the main thing, because apparatus we can replace, but the life we cannot replace. Okay, this was about the 9.8 we have discussed, that is planning laboratory work, state commitments in organizing experiments, textbook orientation. So how to plan laboratory work we have discussed in this. Next we are moving to 9.9, that is planning ICT applications. Okay, so we know what is ICT, information and communication technology. How to integrate ICT with the teaching learning process, that we are discussing here. So how well we can use information and communication technology in our physical and biological sciences, and how we can use those things to in order to make our teaching learning process easier. Okay, so here teaching learning process, which is basically a communication among all those stakeholders taking part in the process. Stakeholders means the persons, the peoples, those who are involving in this teaching learning process is called as stakeholders, can certainly be enriched substantially by employing information and communication technology in the form of recorded audio video presentations, video conferencing, overhead projector, science films, computer along with its various software and email applications, etc., now available to a teacher. So by using all these ICT tools, okay, audio video presentations, video conferencing, overhead projector OHP, science films, computer along with its various software and email applications, by integrating all these things you can teach your science concepts. So a teacher can surely make use of them to enhance the quality of classroom. So what will happen if you use these ICT applications in the classroom? You can enhance the effectiveness of teaching, okay, because here you can give direct experiences by playing a video, how the process is going on, okay, how the concept is occur, how the natural phenomena is takes place. You can show each and everything clearly with the help of by playing a video, okay, with audio effects, so that this enhance the effectiveness of classroom communication and enrich the teaching learning process. And technology and the software have the potential to minimize the distance between learner, teacher and resource, okay. It brings closeness between the teacher, learner and resources. And interactive activities enable the teacher to take her teaching learning process beyond the classroom, okay. So here, because you are using all these ICT tools, so that you can go beyond the classroom, okay, not only your teaching is confined to four-walled classroom, because here you are seeing the things in the video and you are listening in the audio, your imagination and your mental structures and mental images can go beyond the classroom, and you think in the natural settings how really the thing is takes place, and enable her to play the role of a true facilitator or learning. So here individual learner also get benefited as well as teacher also. Then it is desirable that administrative level creates a supportive infrastructure to integrate ICT in the curriculum by allocating resources for preparing teaching learning materials and building a comprehensive program for teaching learning of biological and physical science. So here administration, okay, the administration department should provide the facilities of these ICT tools in order to facilitate the teachers with science concepts, okay. So if the school must provide these ICT resources to the teachers in order to teach, the teachers can use and teach the science concept by using these ICT tools. And principles of planning ICT applications for effective learning are similar to those for classroom general practices. So here there are some principles for planning ICT application, and these are similar to other classroom general practices. So it is depicted in the following figure. See, let us discuss what are those principles of ICT application planning. So principles of planning ICT application are, see, encouraging contact between learner and the teacher. So what they do, they increase the contact between learner and teacher. They bring the learner and teacher into more close form. And developing reciprocity and cooperation among the students. What is the meaning reciprocity? Reciprocity is nothing but mutual benefit they get here, both the students as well as teachers, and the cooperation among the students also develop. And active participation of learners, because of this all the audio video tools and presentations, they become active and attracted towards the teaching learning process. And providing prompt feedback, immediate feedback from the students as well as teachers will be provided. And respecting diverse talents and ways of learning, okay. So here everybody, their talents can come out by asking questions, by doubts, okay, and arguing on the different concept, because everything is in front of them in the form of audios, videos, so they can ask more questions and their talents can come out, their way of thinking, their logic and their reason we can see in the students. These are the principles of planning ICT application. So the teaching learning of science with emerging technology requires, so if you want to integrate this technology with teaching learning of science, it requires a spirit of experimentation. Means you have a spirit that I have to prove all these things with the help of experiments. Then willingness to engage learners in creation of learning resources, okay, willingness to engage learners. So engage learners in creating various learning resources in order to learn the concepts, and willingness to rise above the traditional approaches of teaching learning of science. Means always we use the monotonous teaching methods like learning by doing through lecture method, through chalk and talk method. Always we teach the concept like that. But if you use this ICT in your classroom, you can rise above your traditional methods. You can leave those outdated teaching learning methods, and you can adapt these new methods. And tolerance of failure. If you fail any time to use this software or any tool of ICT, then you learn the tolerance, and again you fix it. Then discussion on various networking systems, web seminars, quizzes, and video conferencing can be various forms of ICT application. So these all you have to discuss. They have to learn what are the different softwares, how to arrange the presentation, how to play the video, how to connect the things. Everything they must have the knowledge. And students can be asked to read a text available on a reviewed website or listen to audio and video presentation. For example, tomorrow you are going to start a new chapter, or tomorrow you are going to perform any experiment or activity. Before that, you can give homework or assignment to the student. Go to the particular website and read about this activity or experiment from that website, so that they can do some review and research on that, and they come with some information, some doubts and some knowledge, so that it will helpful them to understand the concept more better. So teacher has to give these resources to them. And use of ICT provides opportunities for enrichment, can make the teacher free from the trivial issues and discussion of a classic classroom. So it provides the opportunity to enrich the student as well as teachers to understand the issues and concerns of the classroom. And information and communication technology enabled classroom situations, the time saved. Okay, the best thing is the time is reduced. For example, see here I am taking in one class I am teaching 3 subunits. If it is in a general normal classroom, I can teach only one subtopic, because I already matter resources is there in the form of presentation, so directly I can see and I can explain them. Whereas in the general classroom, I have to write it on the blackboard and I have to explain each and everything. So here it reduce the burden of the teacher and as well as the students also, because everything is there readily available to them. The time saved from such activities can be devoted to challenging them in the conception of naive concepts of learners, posing and exploring open-ended unresolved questions and problems, etc. So what you are doing here, the time whatever you have saved by using ICT, in that time you are clearing the doubts of the question, you are solving the problems of the students, and you are creating the new concept by removing the naive concepts of the students. So you can give this time to solving these problems and solving the doubts of the students and solving the questions of the students. And suitably designed e-material can be a source of self-learning for students and help them to become independent learners. Okay, if there is what is e-material? The material, the theoretical information of different concepts is available in the printed matter is called as e-material. So if you provide e-material, or if you give the source of e-material from which link or website they can download or they can read, that will be easy for the student to learn the content, and they become self-learners. Okay, or independent learners by reading themselves from the going particular website, by searching from the particular search engine. They can read the concept and they can understand. By this we can develop them as an independent learner. Okay, so these are some online resources you can suggest to your students, like ICT online resources. Learning about Living Part 1 by David Hosberg. Okay, this is a printout downloadable as a PDF file from the link. Okay, and Learning about Living Part 3 by David Hosberg. Then Thinking and Doing by David Hosberg. Small Science for class 1 to 5. Okay, and Low Cost Equipment for Science and technology education volume 1 compiled by UNESCO. Okay, so these are various learning online resources are there. It is helpful for the teacher as well as the student. Give them these resources, make them independent learners, make them to understand the concept by their own. Okay, make them self learners and independent learners, so that it is very useful for them to make the students a good learner. Okay, so this is about the applications of ICT in the classroom teaching learning, especially in physical and biological sciences. Okay, thank you.